Welcome to the Eagle Update on KUOZ Channel 6, where we will provide you with a fresh look at what's happening in your campus and community.
Our top story today, 2 students at the Westside Elementary School are charged with possessing a weapon on school property. Reporter Rebecca Arnell now with the story of an extreme trade.
An iPod. How much is it worth to you? What would you trade to obtain one of these? On February 5th, a 13-year-old brought an unloaded .32 caliber pistol to the elementary school in Coal Hill in order to trade a fellow student for an iPod. The gun, however, belonged to a family member.
Yes, he actually took it from his grandfather's house when the family was visiting the grandfather in Washington County. During the course of the day, the 12-year-old had possession of the gun for a while. They hid it in their boots or in the waistband, or in their coat pockets and in the locker. So they both had possession of the gun, and there were several other students their ages on campus who either saw the gun, heard about the gun, knew about the gun, knew it was there, but none of them went to a teacher or an administrator or the counselor and said, hey, there's a gun on campus.
In fact, no authorities found out about the incident until Saturday night, when a student finally told someone and the school administration contacted the sheriff's office.
My investigators interviewed them with their parents present, and both of them admitted that yes, they did have the gun.
While the 2 students are being charged in a juvenile court with possessing a weapon on school property, the other students who knew about the weapon and failed to report it are also going to be held accountable.
But for these kids, they need to understand that there are repercussions for having this kind of information and knowledge and not telling anybody about it because it's a dangerous situation.
An iPod. So, what is it worth to you?
And on February 24th, an assembly will be held for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at Westside Elementary. The assembly will address the issues regarding this recent incident, as well as what actions a student can take should they find themselves in a similar situation.
I don't know about you, Ty, but when I was in elementary school, Pokemon cards were the only thing we traded.
My, how the times have changed, Christina.
Speaking of change, Ty, the Board of Trustees recently held their weekend retreat. During the meeting, several campus changes as well as marketing strategies were points of discussion. Colin Johnson reports.
A group of board members and faculty, along with select students chosen from different programs across the campus, spent a weekend at the Lodge on Mount Magazine for the annual board retreat, where they discuss goals for the 2010 school year. For more, we go to Brett Wood.
And one of those for this year, was branding, trying to determine what our identity was. And the reason we deem that is important is, it's Ozarks' goal to get up around 750 students. And so we're trying to figure out, what's our brand and what's our identity that we're trying to sell to these students, and do we have the right brand and the right identity? If we're not increasing in our tuition, is there something else that we need to look at trying to sell to the students, something we need to do better at? Or, do we just need to advertise differently? Just different ideas like that. And, as y'all know, one of the biggest brands, that came out of it that we've talked about was, just the personable touch that Ozarks has to offer. And so as we talk about expanding and getting more students, we want to also make sure that we do not, take away from that. We want to make sure that we have all the faculty and staff on campus to be able to still give that personal touch as we get more students on campus. Right. It's about bringing more students in, how we create that identity, but it's also about, making sure that we're living up to our identity, because if we have an identity that we're selling to students and then they get here and any aspect of our college is not living up to that identity, then we need to look at it, because then we're not fulfilling our promise that we made to the students. I just think it was a lot of fun to go to the board retreat, and it's always interesting to be a part of those things because by being here on campus, that our faculty and our staff, really do care about us. And so it's really interesting to go to the board retreats and see how much they genuinely care for this campus.
For KUOZ, I'm Colin Johnson.
Did I hear correctly that the dorms are going wireless after we graduate?
So I hear. Let's check in with field reporter Taylor Jacks, who received some insight regarding this new campus add-on.
Coming in fall 2010, the University of the Ozarks campus will see progress on a front that the students have been working on for the past few years. Faster internet speeds and wireless connection to the network in the dorms. We went and talked to Rick Otto, head of computer services, to see how these changes were implemented, and then we interviewed students to see how they felt about these changes.
With this change, the real pièce de résistance of the change is not necessarily that you can connect wirelessly. Not that a student can be in a dorm, be in a common area, and connect to the internet wirelessly. Part of the package that we have contracted with our ISP gives us the ability to provide for each student 2 megabits worth of speed up and down. That's asynchronous speeds. That's far more than what we currently have. They'll start out our student pipe, our student road to the internet at 100 megabits per second. That's 10 times the speed that we currently have.
But the dorms going wireless, I think it'll actually be a lot easier because we'll be able to, instead of having to, like me and my roommate, we have to share a computer cord, so the internet cord will be a lot easier doing without. Just being able to work with it.
How do you feel about
The added speed would actually help, especially, you got that paper deadline, but the internet keeps lagging. You're not going to be able to get your paper in time, and then you have all that extra points that are counted off. So,
I think it'll be great. I think it'll be something that will be very beneficial to my education.
Yeah. It seems that the consensus is that overall good progress has been made, and that the students will enjoy faster and wireless connection in the coming year. For KUOZ Channel 6, I'm Taylor Jacks.
For many students, finding something fun to do on a weekend in Clarksville may seem like a challenge. However, field reporter Veronica Sabarillo shows there is one campus organization dedicating to making certain that is never an issue.
CAP stands for Campus Activity Board. However, Brandon Carlson, Vice President of the organization, explained what it is exactly.
CAP is the student organization on campus that's responsible for all of the student activities that we put on for the students every weekend. So any live entertainment acts like comedians, magicians, any musical acts like that. Also our university events, so things like the lip sync contest, which we'll be seeing this weekend actually, and also like the karaoke nights, bingo nights, things like that. Those are all university events. We have formal events, which are Winter Formal and the talent show, and then we also have our publicity people too as well that are responsible for getting out the word about CAP and the events that we have coming up.
Last Friday, CAP had one of their biggest events.
We have the lip sync contest, and this is actually one of our more popular events on campus. It involves students that volunteer themselves. They come out, they lip sync to whatever music that they like with the hopes that at the end of the night they get a prize, and it's all based on crowd noise. So we like to get the student body out there, get them involved, get them noisy and rowdy so that way they can pick the one that they like the best.
But that's not it. Next week, CAP presents.
We've got El Perion Night coming up next week. We co-sponsor with SGA, so it'll be a really good week for the students to get out, plus the homecoming games, and we'll be there in force too. So get out there, get involved.
For Channel 6 News, I'm Veronica Sabarillo. But remember,
We hope to see you guys out there. Thanks for coming.
Field reporter Evan Lipschitz pays a visit to a local hotspot in order to remind us that you don't have to drive out of town to see a good movie.
Clarksville Cinema, located on 2424 East Clark Road, is the most popular theater in Clarksville. It is really busy on weekdays at 7 p.m., but the most busiest is during the weekends at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., or 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Sundays. The cinema gets new movies every Monday, but what movies are playing right now?
This week we are playing Valentine's Day, Dear John, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and The Wolfman, and we just started playing these Friday night.
But what is the most popular movie?
Well, so far I think it's been a contest between Percy Jackson and Valentine's Day, but personally, I don't know.
So if you have any free time, come on down to the Clarksville Cinema and watch these movies.